Tonight, we have got a fantastic guest on the show who I don't know at all. And I love these kinds of experiences because I get to know them along with you guys. Unless you already know who Kirby Morrow is, he is an actor of many stripes. He's not just a voice actor. He works in animation, he works in anime, but he's also on screen. And you've seen him in many roles across CW shows like Supergirl and Arrow and The Flash. Have you been on Legends of Tomorrow?
I got hired, but then it didn't happen.
All right.
Story.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's welcome to the stage Kirby Morrow. Come on in, my friend. Yay!
Hey,
Come
man.
on up, my friend. How are you?
Good to see you. How you been?
I've been good. Welcome back to Vancouver.
Thank you. How was your weekend?
It was amazing. I'd never been to an Anime North, and that's where I met Kirby. We were both locked outside. We were like knocking on the door, calling people that we knew to let us into the convention, and nobody came for us.
Yeah,
We
and
had to
I
find our own way.
started right near where we were supposed to start, and then I walked all the way around that massive building just to get back to where I could have just turned around and got 10 feet to where we got in.
It was massive. I can't believe how many buildings and how many things they have going on. It was
I know.
huge. I didn't expect it to be so big.
Yeah, it's the biggest one in Canada, they say, or
Have-
North America.
Have you done Anime North before? Have you done that kind of convention?
Never Anime North,
Okay.
but I've done. I've done dozens of Comic-Cons and anime conventions. Kind of around North America and Europe and things like that. But first time in Anime North, and I wasn't actually an official guest. It just turned out that I was going to be there that weekend, and my buddy had a dealer table, and he's like, well, come hang out on my dealer table because everybody will buy all the Dragon Ball Z stuff and all the Inuyasha stuff and everything that you're there. And then I sign autographs and everything. I'm like, yeah, okay. So at first we weren't sure if I was going to be allowed to stay.
Yeah. It felt like very welcoming of people that love this stuff and participate in this stuff. That's one thing that I picked up on is that, people were dressed as Spider-Man and they were dressed as Final Fantasy characters and Dragon Ball. Everybody was welcome, it felt like.
Yeah.
Does that kind of relate to your career a bit? Did you start out going, I want to be in Dragon Ball? Or how did that all happen for you?
No, I wanted to pursue voice work because one of my early teachers always said, in order to be the best in your field or to work in your field, pursue every avenue of revenue in your field.
How smart.
So keep trying to act, and whether you're, because they hire actors to train police, to train doctors, to do all these things. Keep doing that, because you're still acting. And I knew voice work existed, and you can wear what you want, and there's no heavy lifting, so it's like perfect job.
That's awesome.
So I pursued that.
I didn't have teachers that talked about money. I went to acting school too.
Oh, yes.
And I kind of regretted that later on as a producer. I was like, why didn't you give us any kind of like business development educate? It's because so much of it is like.
Why did you not prepare us for life?
Yeah, for the you have to make money to live. Like
exactly,
it wasn't just like build art and they will come.
Yeah,
you have to build a career.
It's like, welcome to theater school. Now we have a bartending course.
Yeah,
that you should take.
I mean, that seems a little bit more realistic in a way, doesn't it? So did you do that? Did you do the police training videos? I think I did some of that. I played the bag at Eaton's one year that walked around honking a horn.
Really?
Yeah, I did everything. Yeah, it was awesome.
No, I never found out about it until after. My buddy Nevin has done it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's played. Police training, I have trained doctors that were getting ready to do their final exam.
Cool.
Stuff. And so I played a gunshot victim who'd been shot with a shotgun. So I had the silly putty bag and all the pellets and everything. And
that's fantastic. But what great advice though, because all of that does prepare you for everything.
It's all acting because you're still acting and your mind's in it, and it's keep acting.
What was the first animated gig that you got, and how did you get it?
My first voiceover gig was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What?
Dude, love being a turtle.
Were you a turtle?
I was Michelangelo.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, baby. So I was Michelangelo in the live action series in 1997, and then my first anime gig was Gundam Wing, where I played Troy Barton in the Gundam Wing series. And he was the quiet, brooding kind of character. And it's funny because I did that 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was hugely popular at that Anime North. It was like, oh my God, you were Troy Barton. I actually had to go back to Staples twice to print more pictures that I could autograph for people.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
Well,
really
it's
cool.
like we had David Hayter on not so long ago. He's
yeah.
the voice of Solid Snake. I don't know. I know that the voice community isn't massive, so you end up meeting a lot of these people. But he also played Guyver. And a lot of people just love him as Guyver, which is this superhero based out of Japan.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And I guess you create fandom in all of these different silos.
Oh,
right?
totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did this one called Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Where I play this lecherous monk named Moroku, who's like a fan favorite. And he was a monk that, they'd come in, they'd fight demons, but they'd always come across some village that has been, completely ransacked by demons. And I would go up to some girl, I'm like, oh, there, poor thing, and I'd end up goosing her.
Oh my God!
And then I'd ask her to bear my children, and he's,
that is not a good monk.
No, but like I even had a girl at the Anime North going, "Oh my God, you played Moroku? Can you say something awkward and inappropriate to me?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna need to see your ID first."
Yeah,
yeah, it was very funny.
You have a massive IMDb. Your credits are huge.
Like it's all who you sleep with.
It just scrolls and scrolls.
Yeah.
Were you? I mean, did you have the right attitude when you walked in from Michelangelo? It was like anything goes, and I'm just going to do this, and they saw because you hadn't had a resume doing this stuff before, but they said, "Yep, we're going to put you into our beloved property here."
Yeah, and it was funny because that one there was 9 callbacks for that because I went to the first audition, and then I got a callback, and then I got another callback, and then I think they decided that I was what they thought they wanted. But then they wanted to make sure I wasn't going to sound like their other prospects.
Sure.
So I had to come back and audition with all the other turtle prospects. So it ended up to be 9 callbacks.
Amazing.
With Leo and Donnie and Raphael and everything.
There's a huge voice community across a lot of different media, like web series and animated stuff in Vancouver. And were you doing a lot of this stuff like in a kind of like a chorus of you guys here in Vancouver, or were you doing voices and then there were voices in LA and?
The thing with voice work is they generally want to keep it, in one place. So you're not having to audition. Like when you act on camera, you go out for a role and they're like, okay, we're considering LA, New York, Toronto, and here in Vancouver. Right. Whereas we're gonna do a show here. We'd like everybody to be from Vancouver. Cool. There's been times where it's like we got 2 people patching in from LA or from Toronto, but mostly so your competition gets smaller. But to be a voice actor. I've met actors that are, they work on camera full time and they're like, why can't I get voice work? Or, and because one of the things is they're not used to kind of being really big and overacting. Like, remember your theater days? It's animated for a reason. But, to go into voice work, you can't just kind of stumble your way along and do small parts here and there like you can in acting and kind of learn the ropes over the years. In voice acting, you have to come in and be able to be a lead, right, and play a character for like we're doing a 26 episode series, and you have to be able to carry this voice through the whole thing
from day one.
Exactly,
and everybody's got to see this for like 2 seconds and believe in that character.
Exactly, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
and clearly you have that skill. But when you have a list of credits and roles that is that long, are you able to remember those days and remember those characters? Do you have some favorite memories of some of these roles?
I do, especially because I go to these conventions and I have a bunch of pictures of characters, and everybody wants to hear a voice sample. They're like, can you do Goku? Like, this is Goku. Check us out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Like, I am the quiet Goku pilot. They're like, I play this evil guy like this. Or Makami. Delete from, what was it, Death Note. And I just watched Death Note, the live action movie. Yeah. And it's so funny because I'll meet people going, I'll be like, hey, do you watch any of my shows? And they're like, I only watch the subtitled version. I only listen to the original. And I have 2 kind of takes on that. The first is whenever you watch anything in another language, you never actually know if the actor is any good. Yeah. Because it just, in another language, you just assume their inflection and everything is right. But sometimes the subtitles can be a little off. So in Death Note, the lead bad guy, Ryuk, is asked, how many Death Notes are there? And he holds out his hand and goes, go, which means 5. And then underneath it goes 7.
Oops.
Lost in translation. Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you run into a lot of the same people in the city?
You do.
Do you? And you work with them over and over again?
You do, because once somebody gets really good, and they start to learn how to harness their voice and and be able to play. You tend to work with a lot of the same people, and this is my 24th year in the business.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
But there's new people popping up all the time, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's so hard to get into voice work." I'm like, well, it is, but it's hard to get into acting. It's it's something you got to really try at, and it's something you can't stumble through. You got to really learn the ropes and start off running. Hit the ground running kind of thing.
That's awesome. You also play multiple roles in some of these shows. Like I noticed you were Anakin and General Grievous, who couldn't be two more different characters from each other in the Lego Star Wars Yoda Chronicles.
Yeah.
What does Luke or Anakin sound like?
Okay, so when I did the audition, I watched the movie.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen, he was a
whiny.
little whiny.
Yeah.
And I don't like sand. It's rough and coarse. It gets everywhere. and I ended up getting the role. And then when I started playing him, they're like, why are you being so whiny? And I'm like, that's the character. And they're like, no, just be a young hero. Be a young hero. And then for General Grievous, because I wasn't a big Star Wars fan, I'm like, what's General Grievous? And I looked him up, and thank God for the internet. So I listened to him, and I was trying to think how to do his voice. And so I did activate bridge shield. And because he coughs all the time because he has this broken voice thing. And I was doing the audition online, and they were in LA, and they're like, that was awesome. Did you stick your head in a bucket? How did you do that? And I'm like, no, I just did this thing with my hands, and that was great. So I ended up getting the role. And then on the first day of recording, I did my first line, and they're like, no, don't do the hand thing. We'll affect it afterwards because it's affected voice.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know how to do it without the hands. So I tried a couple times, and no, that's not right. No, that's not right. So we took a break, and I had to go online, and I found the original actor in a studio doing the voice. And then once I listened to how he did it, then I could kind of copy that, and then they could put the studio effect on it
how cool.
afterwards.
Had you done anything like that before?
Never. No.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Do you have a favorite character out of your collection?
I love how popular Goku was, or has become.
Yeah.
But he hurt a lot. There was so
it's hard
much
to
screaming.
be an adolescent again.
Yeah. They'd be like, we have a 24-second yell, and we want it all in one breath. Can you do it? Are you kidding me? Really? Moroku from Inuyasha was a lot of fun. There's an anime called Vision of Escaflowne, where I played Von Fennel.
Yeah.
He's the king of Fenalia. And it turns out he has wings and he can fly, and it was such a cool story though. It was I really like that one. I love being a Ninja Turtle. That gets me some action.
Did you come into this as a fan of animation, and or did you grow to become one?
The only thing I knew from animation was when I was younger, I saw Akira, and I didn't really know the difference between anime and regular animation.
Sure.
So anime is what we call ADR work. It's audio dialogue replacement, and it's been done in another language like Japanese or French or Dutch, and then we revoice it in English. So you're by yourself in a studio and you watch the screen, and you have to fit the voice flaps or the mouth flaps with the English voice, which has been translated. And sometimes you're like,
so hard.
There's no way I'm fitting all those words into that little bit of flap. So you have to do some rewriting. Whereas when you do, American style animation, it's called prelay. So we lay the voices down first, and then the animators listen to it, and then they draw what we've done afterwards, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
People can do that.
Yeah.
But but you're working with everybody else in a room, and it's a lot of fun that way.
That's awesome. So in anime, do you end up working with a lot of people, or is it usually just you?
No, anime, it's just you and the screen, and you're watching what you have to voice.
I guess you have to focus intensely on that, right?
Yeah, and you do just your lines, and it's so funny because for 20 years I've been getting a phone call saying, okay, you're going to be recording this anime show on Thursday. It's Monday. Scripts are available if you want to go pick up a script. But the scripts don't have any action or anything describing it. It's just dialogue.
Oh, wow.
So you have no concept of what's going on or how you're saying it.
That explains some of the voiceover I've heard over the years, actually.
So you have to watch it and be like, oh, that's why I'm saying that. Okay.
Oh, my God. That's
so in 20 years, I've never gone and picked. Well, I've started to pick up scripts. I'm like, I don't understand anything that's going on right now. So I'm just going to, let's wing it.
That's amazing. And then when you do an animated show like X-Men Evolution, you've got the other X-Men in a room with you sometimes?
Exactly. Yeah. You're all in a room together, and you're working off one another. And one time, my parents had never seen what I'd done, and I think it was 2000s, probably 8 or 9 years I've been doing it, and they came to town, and I had to do pickup lines for X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
And in the scene, Matt Hill and I, his character, it's right there, yeah. Matt Hill and I were drowning in the ocean, and there's a lot of, you got to really move your body when you're acting. And I just bought this brand new shirt, and I wore it because I wanted my mom to think that, I'm actually not living off table scraps and like I'm looking good. But it was a brand new shirt that every time I moved, you could hear shh, 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 shh. And I'm in the studio and I'm doing this drowning thing, and they're like, yeah, you keep wrecking the take because shh, 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 shh. So eventually they said, you're gonna have to do it with your shirt off. My parents are just looking at me like, really? I'm like, yeah, this is what I do for a living.
That is awesome. And with all the other actors around.
No, this was just because it was pickup lines. So it was just me and my parents in there were like, really?
They probably saw you as a kid doing much the same thing.
Yeah.
Recognizing, wait, there's like a flashback here. That's hilarious. So you also do a lot of live action stuff.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, we have become superhero central in Vancouver. You've been on you were on Legion.
Yeah.
You've been on all the CW shows.
Yeah.
What are these experiences like for you?
I love having it. People always say, what do you like better, doing voice work or doing on camera?
Yeah.
I love having the balance of both. I know a lot of people kind of walked away from on camera work because it's a lot of judgment on you, what you look like, and,
right,
and everything else. Whereas voice, you just get to go and play and be a character.
Sure.
But I love playing different on camera roles, and I'm a bit of a chameleon. People will watch something and go, I didn't even recognize you. I didn't see that was you. And I'm like, well, I like to eat, so I put on a lot of weight, and then there's a lot of weight. And I go to the gym. I don't go to the gym. But yeah, I just did Supergirl, where I played this cop who gets. It's come out now, so I can say I get brutally tortured.
You're on a bunch of episodes on Supergirl, I saw, right?
Yeah, 3 or 4. I
Yeah.
think. And yeah, and
Were you working with Sam Witwer on that one?
No.
Okay.
He's an actor.
Yeah, he was just on, and he
okay.
played he played the guy with the metal head. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, yes, I did work with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was raising the conspiracy against the aliens.
Yes.
Because unless you're a 13-year-old girl, you might not watch Supergirl.
Oh come on, it's a great show.
It's a great.
I love that show.
It is a good show.
Yeah.
But I was a cop that was being pulled into the fold to hate the aliens, and I was beating them up, and then a character named Manchester Black kidnaps me and ties me. He handcuffs me to a railing in a bathtub that I had to hang from. Real handcuffs. That hurt a lot.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Yeah. I literally had no feeling.
They don't have
in my
fake
left part of my hand
movie handcuffs that are comfortable for actors.
And they do, but for some reason we had real handcuffs. And there'd be a couple takes where we finished and they're going to move the camera. I'm like, somebody's got to open these. I'm just sitting there hanging.
Can't feel my hands.
Yeah, like somebody's got to, because normally there's a little quick release to get out of movie handcuffs, but we had real ones.
That's awesome.
Only authentic on Supergirl. That's all we do. Yeah.
Is it a totally different vibe when you go from a Supergirl set to a Flash set to an Arrow set to a Legion set, or does it feel the same for you?
I mean, kind of. It's always a different cast and crew and people, but it's. I mean, it's the essence is the same. Being on set,
Yeah.
And it's so great to be on set, and everybody's so good, and the craft services are amazing. Oh my God, the food is to die for.
We actually share a credit because I was in Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Oh, were you?
And you were in I wasn't in the episode that you were in. I was in the Johnny Cage episode.
Oh, okay.
But you were in the Malia and Katana.
Yeah, I was King Jared.
King Jared. And how was that working on that? Did you do any stunts or anything like that in that piece?
There was one thing. So the castle gets invaded. I run for my life and leave my daughter and wife and Shao Kahn, I think.
Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn, yeah. Takes my wife for his own, and my daughter thinks he's his, and she becomes an assassin. And there's 2 of them, and I'm hiding out in the forest, and they find me, and we have this confrontation where I tell her for the first time that I'm actually her father, not Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
Shao Kahn's like, no, because I'm older, and no, I am your father. And then my other daughter stabs me in the back and kills me. And I had this death scene where we're up north in the forest there, and it's snowing and it's cold, and they wanted me to fall and have my face land on this log, like, and I had to take after take.
I don't think they're telling you things, Kirby. I think they like to abuse the voice actor when he comes out on set sometimes.
Yeah, they're like, we want your face to look like this as you fall forward and smack your face on a log. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. Whatever.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite live action thing that you worked on?
Huh. It's a lot of things. I did a movie called High Moon, which was really interesting, and I auditioned for a character that was supposed to be maybe a Russian spy, maybe an American spy, but they wanted you to be able to speak Russian and English. So the girl that ran the juice bar at my gym was Russian.
Yeah.
So before the audition, I went and got her to translate my lines that I had to say in Russian. I wrote them out phonetically and I learned them. And I went in.
Good for you.
Thank you. And
That's awesome.
I went in speaking Russian, and they're like, "You can speak Russian?" I'm like, "Doesn't everybody?" I mean, but I didn't end up getting that role because they went younger and better looking. But then they said, "We have this other role."
You put in the effort.
Yeah, they said,
opened
"We have
the
this
door.
other role. If you think you can learn the Russian," because it was supposed to become a series.
Yes.
They said, "If you think you can learn the Russian, we've got this other character. He has 76 lines in Russian."
Yeah.
I had 5 weeks to learn it, and so I learned.
Amazing. Did you play any of the Russians on Arrow? They had a huge Russian thing.
No.
Yeah.
I could. So I was able to learn some Russian.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Talk to me a little bit about the sort of behind the camera working with an anime, production house or people that are sort of used doing at least the English language portion of an anime. Is that the same group of people that would work on something like X-Men Evolution or?
No, completely different actually, because it's like, once again, it's ADR, audio dialogue replacement, versus prelay, which is something like X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
And the people that they seek out shows that have been popular in Japan, or I've done French and Dutch and different things like that.
Yeah.
They bring them over to North America and they revoice them in English. And it's just it's a different process. And
do you hear from the Japanese creators about your
Not at
work?
all.
No. So
No,
it's sort of entrusted to the
Yeah,
casting director and the
whoever gets the rights to it and is going to do it. And Ocean Studios has kind of been the big
They're big in Vancouver.
the big one that does most of the anime. They're like, we got this new show, and this is what the character's like. And for the first several years, there was no internet, so we couldn't look up the characters. You could kind of hear what characters sound like, but when they're talking Japanese, like, oh no,
well, and I think you can directly correlate how voice acting for anime and for Japanese work got better as the internet emerged.
Oh,
and
yeah.
people could catch up with what they were talking about, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that was true in video games and everything as well.
Yeah.
Did you learn the ropes on any of this stuff with other actors in town, or was it just through your force of will and some good fortune?
A little bit of both, actually. It's whenever I worked in, like, X-Men was one of my early shows, and Ninja Turtles was my first one.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
working,
amazing. That's such a big.
I was working with Jason Gray Stanford, Matt Hill, Michael Dobson, Lelania Stringberg, I think is her last name. And these are all veterans, and it was my first show, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch what you guys do, and I'm gonna try. And you start to see somebody when they're doing voice work. They don't just stand in front of a microphone. They're all animated. And they've got their bodies moving, which is why I had the thing going. Yeah. But you start to watch and learn, I guess. Yeah.
Do you have any? Are there legends that you look up to? Are there like Kevin Conroy or Mark Hamill? Like, are there people that you admire that you watch?
I mean, I admire them. I love Mark Hamill's fantastic, and Mel Blanc and forgetting names, but it was mostly there were the legends. I always thought Hank Azaria was amazing.
Yes.
And I met him once, and. It's just everybody that was doing better than me was my hero. I'm like, wow, you do this for a living? You're my hero. I'm just gonna watch you grow up.
And now, are you training other people? Are you teaching or?
I do. I've been teaching. Yeah, for quite a while. I was doing private coaching, and then I was teaching at a studio. And there's a place called On the Mic I teach at, which is fantastic. And yeah, it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know a few actors that have sort of crossed over, like Scott McNeil. I was in an episode of Border Town way back in the day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's become a pretty big name in the voice acting
world
world
too.
Do you work with him ever?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah. Scott and I did our first convention together in the early 2000s. And it was so funny because we knew that there were other stars and stuff there. And it was our first convention in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they had one of those huge outdoor tents, like the, football field size. And him and I walked into the tent, and everybody in the tent went nuts. And we both turned around like, who's here? Like, who's behind us? We're like, for us?
Wow.
Really? And they're like, okay, you guys only have to do a signing for 2 hours. And we're like, we're staying until every person gets a signature. We're not leaving. And we did a bunch of conventions together, and it's the same thing. They're like, okay, we're going to cut off the line. They're like, you are not cutting off the line. If somebody stood in line to get my signature, they're getting a signature.
Well, especially because so much of your work is, people just can't see you, right?
Yeah.
And so suddenly you have a chance to interact, and you want to give them that time.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And so, what's that like for you on the receiving end of that, to have people walk up and be such a big fan of your stuff?
It's amazing. Sometimes I'm just like, really? Like, I remember one time I was doing Calgary Comic Con, and my parents lived near there, and so my dad came and he was sitting behind me as I was signing autographs, and I had this long line, and he kept looking down. He's like, "You're all here to see him? Really? Him? Really?" And then one girl came up and said, "Are you Kirby Morrow's dad?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Can he sign body parts?" And he's like, "What body parts?" She goes, "My breasts." He goes, "Well, he looks busy, but I, on the other hand."
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I asked we've got a bunch of people watching the show right now, so I just asked if anybody's got any questions. You got to help me out, though.
I can answer all of them once, but I was young and I needed the money.
Are you in Batgirl or Batwoman?
No. Batgirl.
No. Okay. Somebody's asking, can you give us any hints about Batgirl? So I don't know if they know something.
She's a bat and she's a girl. No, I've never, no Batgirl.
Okay. Let's see. I can't read this tiny. Ask about Ninjago.
Ninjago.
Yes.
Yes.
Who do you play on
I
Ninjago?
play the Black Ninja Cole. Lego Ninja Warriors. We fight the evil Lord Garmadon. It's totally crazy. And I'm always fighting with Jay because we kind of like the same girl. And he so annoys me, but I'm the best.
Very good.
Yeah.
Do you ever do a conversation with some of these characters together? Do you ever put Michelangelo in the room with Cole and then General Grievous?
Whenever I'm at cons, I'll kind of add them together, and the fans get excited. We have a question from the audience over there.
Yeah, go for it.
No, but I did have a girl say, you don't use the voices in bed, do you? I'm like, no, because I want this to go somewhere.
Yeah. I guess that is a skill unto itself, right? When to turn it on and turn it off.
Exactly, because especially whenever there's voice actor meetings at the union or something.
Yes.
Oh my God, you can't hear anything for 2 blocks. Everybody's like, oh, hey,
yeah.
Everybody's trying to
yes
do voices.
I mean, I remember that with Scott, because he was an actor but also a voice actor, and it was amazing to see that discrepancy, the difference, like in between the rolling of shots. It was just like, wow, it was like Robin Williams a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what's coming up? What are you working on? What can people be out there looking for?
I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about. So I just finished the string of Supergirls.
Okay.
The Hallmark. There's always Hallmark movies in the
Hallmark
wings.
is very good to the Vancouver creative community.
Yes? I did a movie like 5 years ago called A Ring by Spring.
Yeah.
And they play the gosh out of it. It's my friend called me up one time and said, "Yeah, you're on 3 channels right now in this movie. It's A Ring by Spring. It's great." I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but Ninjago might be coming back.
Okay, cool.
And there's another Lego entity that I got 2 characters in, and I'm not allowed to talk about it, but there's like big beasts in it. I don't know. I gotta be careful. Like all these, you can't talk about stuff. Talk about stuff.
We know all about the NDAs on this.
Yeah. And I just got back from the Anime North, and hopefully there's gonna be some auditions this week, and I'll have more work coming up.
I think that's. I think you're going to be working constantly.
Thank you.
I didn't know him, but I knew he was somebody. Like, we were just standing next to each other, knocking on the door, but I could just feel the vibe. Like, this guy works on some cool things, and we hit it off right away.
We did.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Great. So, are people going to be able to see you at any conventions soon?
I am going to Moline Illinois,
Okay.
which is near Chicago.
Yeah.
I was like, where the heck is that? June to third week of June.
Okay.
And I think that's the only one guaranteed. And I might be doing Fan Expo in Toronto at the end of August.
Fantastic. I know a lot of people that are watching are to be at Fan Expo. Kirby,
Nice.
It was great to see
Thanks,
you
brother.
and meet you and have you on the show. And
Nice. It was good to meet you.
once you can talk about some of these upcoming projects, let's have you back, okay?
I would love that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Kirby Morrow,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.